Did the Buffalo Bills get screwed over by the NFL, the refs, and all the other NFL teams in the ginormous conspiracy to make sure they never win a Super Bowl? Or are they just a bunch of whiny bitches? Let's talk about that. Dun 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 dun. Raw. So, it's time to talk about it. It's been about 4 days since the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. And I think it's time that we actually have a conversation, or at least I talk about the Denver Broncos and Buffalo Bills controversy with the refs. We need to talk about it, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what is the controversy between these teams, and what exactly are they mad about? Now, really, all the controversy is coming from the last overtime drive, really, or the end of the Bills overtime drive and the whole, basically, Broncos overtime drive. That's really where all the controversy is coming from. We're talking about the pick and the two PI plays. That's what we're talking about. The pick and the PI plays is what we're talking about right now. So, let's go in order. So the first one was the interception, or at least according to the NFL and the refs, was an interception. Now let's talk about the argument that the opposing side have. They say that that Brandon Cooks had possession on the ground and it was clearly a catch. Clearly a catch. If you watch in real time, he never ever had possession of the ball on the ground. Being completely honest, I'm going to be transparent with my opinion on these controversial calls. That was an interception. You ask a lot of people, they'll also say it's an interception. Another thing I'd like to point out is look at Brandon Cooks' expression after the play. That is not a man that looks like he caught the ball. If he actually fully thought at the time he caught the ball, he would have got up and argued his case for it. But he didn't. He stayed on the ground and it looked like he thought he did something wrong, which he did by not containing the ball. Because that was an interception. Jaquan McMillan made an unbelievable play on the ball, and gave the Broncos the chance to get the ball back and not lose the game. It was an unbelievable play by Jaquan McMillan that people are ripping away from him because they don't like that Denver won. That was an interception, not a catch. Now, moving on with the PI calls, one that are more, in my opinion, you can talk about more a lot, especially the first one. The first PI call. It was earlier in the game. It was on Cortland Sutton. It was against, I forget who. I'll put it up here once I remember. But it was called a PI on the sideline. Now let's talk about it. Was it PI? Was it ticky-tacky? If it's under my opinion, I do believe the call was a bit ticky-tacky. Yes, can you not grab people's arms? Yes, of course. But Randy Moss also got away with what should have been clear PI as well. When Josh Allen threw it deep down the end zone. And I'm happy that I like they didn't call it because I like that they let the boys play when it comes to ticky-tacky PIs. Was it ticky-tacky? Yes. Would I have called it? No, I wouldn't have. Now, by rule, is it PI? Yes. But by looking at how it was being reffed, should they have called it? No, because it was pretty ticky-tacky. Now, let's talk about the second one. The second PI call was clear as day pass interference. Clearly. The PI was, you can't tackle a player before the ball gets there. You just can't do that. And once you do that, you commit a PI. I get they don't call it earlier in the game, but you can't tackle a guy before the ball even gets there, commit clear, blatant pass interference, and not get in trouble for it. It's going to happen. The thing is, the fact that anyone watches that play and argues that it wasn't PI is mind-boggling with me. I'm gonna hold on, wait. By the way, we'll go back to talking about it. But I'll be blanking up front right now. If you watch that second PI and you try to claim that it's not PI, you do not know what pass interference is, and it's clear as day you don't. That is blatant PI. That's one of the most blatant PIs of the year. And that was clear as day, pass interference. And if you try to argue it wasn't, you are just lying to yourself that you don't think that was pass interference. The first one, sure, it was ticky-tacky, but even then with the first PI, there was roughing the passer on the call. So they'll still get 15 yards on top of it. And again, that roughing the passer was fair. That was roughing the passer. Now, saying all this, looking at all of this, did the Buffalo Bills get screwed in this game? Do they have an argument against the NFL? Do they have a just absolute conspiracy against the Buffalo Bills? They never want the Bills to win the Super Bowl. Is that the case? The honest and truth answer is no, it's not. The only argument they have is that the first PI is a little ticky-tacky, because it was. But that was an interception, and that second was clear as day PI. Now, let's go a little bit back. On that Bills drive, the very start of the Bills drive, let's take a little bit of a step back, and let's talk about how the refs kind of helped the Bills in that overtime as well. Looking at that start of the Bills drive, there is a situation where Josh Allen is not sacked in the end zone because of holding in the end zone. The Bills committed blatant and clear holding while in the end zone. They were not called on it. If they were called on it, like most teams would, or a lot of cases they would have, it would have been the end of the game right then and there. It would have been a safety in the end zone, giving the Broncos the win. Telling you that right now, if anything, the refs helped the Bills stay in the game longer, and they should have because of that aspect. A lot of times that is called because it was blatant and clear holding. Everyone that watched the game saw it there. But again, if I'm being honest, if they get called blatant there, they should have been called blatant earlier. Because that PI was blatant, that PI was clear as day, and the fact that anyone argues that second PI is unbelievable to me. If you want to say the first PI was ticky-tacky, fine. I kind of agree. If you try to argue that wasn't a pick, I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what film you're seeing. Brandon Cooks never survived the ground for that football. That was getting ripped out of his arms the second he touched the ground. It was already out of his arms, basically, and it was Jaquan McMillan's hand. There's only one man that survived that caught that ball, and it was Jaquan McMillan. Then, that's about it. Put your opinions in the comments below. It's a little bit of I know it's a little late, but I just wanted to come out here and talk about this for a little bit. It's kind of thinking about it for a bit, and it's a very still heavily talked about situation where people still try to claim that they were screwed when they really weren't. Anyway, subscribe to Kumph-E, follow Instagram, TikTok, and that's about it. Go Bucks.